If you are a developing trader, you have likely asked yourself the following question: why do I struggle to execute my plan even when I know exactly what I am supposed to do? You have dedicated countless hours to studying technical analysis. You can identify chart patterns, understand indicators, and formulate a trading strategy with a clear set of rules for entry, exit, and risk management. Logically, you have the necessary knowledge to be successful. Yet, when you are in a live market environment, a disconnect occurs. You hesitate on valid entry signals. You fail to cut your losses at your predetermined stop. You exit profitable trades prematurely, or you hold on to them for too long, allowing significant gains to turn into losses. This gap between what you know you should do and what you actually do in the moment is the single greatest obstacle to consistent profitability. This is not a failure of your strategic knowledge. It is a failure of your psychological framework. Part 1. The fundamental disconnect. There exists a fundamental conflict between how our minds are wired to function in everyday life and the mental skills required to operate effectively in the trading arena. The very thought processes that lead to success in your career, education, and relationships often lead to predictable patterns of error and financial loss in the market. This video is designed to bridge that gap. We are not here to discuss another chart pattern or a new indicator. We are here to perform a deep dive analysis into the psychological architecture of a successful trader. Our primary text for this masterclass will be the seminal work by Mark Douglas, Trading in the Zone. Mark Douglas was a pioneer who systematically diagnosed the core psychological conflicts that plague traders. His work provides a blueprint for rewiring your mental approach to the markets, enabling you to move beyond the cycle of fear and frustration. Our objective in this session is to do more than simply summarize this book. We will deconstruct its most powerful concepts, translate them into a structured, actionable framework, and provide you with the mental tools to implement them immediately. This is an instructional deep dive, designed to rebuild your trading mindset from the ground up. Throughout this masterclass, we will achieve 3 primary goals. First, we will diagnose the core problem. We will explore precisely why your rational mind seems to shut down in live market conditions, and how the market's environment of uncertainty creates a state of psychological friction. Second, we will systematically learn the solution. We will dedicate the majority of our time to a thorough examination of Mark Douglas's 5 fundamental truths of trading. These are not mere aphorisms. They are a new set of beliefs you must adopt to align your mindset with the probabilistic nature of the market. Each truth will be explained in detail, with clear examples of how it applies to your trading decisions. And third, we will focus on practical application. We will outline specific exercises and mental techniques you can use to internalize these truths, moving them from intellectual understanding to ingrained habit. The goal is to develop a state of mind where you can execute your trading plan without fear, hesitation, or emotional interference. If you are ready to move beyond the endless search for a perfect strategy and begin the real work of building a professional trading mindset, then this session is for you. Let's begin our examination of the foundational conflict between your mind and the market. Part 2. The core conflict. Why your logic is your enemy. To solve a problem, one must first diagnose it with clinical precision. The central problem for the developing trader is not found on a price chart. It is found in the cognitive dissonance between the human mind and the market environment. It is essential to understand that the mental toolkit which allows you to navigate the world successfully is fundamentally mismatched for the reality of trading. Let us deconstruct this conflict. Human society, and by extension your own mental development, is built upon a foundation of linear cause and effect relationships. Consider your experience. If you dedicate consistent effort to mastering a skill in your profession, you can reasonably expect career advancement. If you adhere to a disciplined diet and exercise regimen, you can expect improved physical health. This is the world your brain knows, a world where correct, focused effort generally produces a specific, desired, and positive outcome. We are conditioned to seek certainty and to believe that our actions are directly correlated with our results. This internal programming is a survival mechanism. The market environment, however, operates under a completely different paradigm. It is not a linear, cause and effect system. It is a probabilistic one. The market has no awareness of the effort you expend. It does not recognize the brilliance of your analysis, nor does it care about your financial needs. It is a vast, global mechanism that facilitates transactions, and the price movement that results is the aggregate expression of the beliefs of all its participants. The outcome of any single event within this environment is uncertain. This creates the foundational psychological challenge for every trader. You enter an arena governed by probabilities, but you bring with you a mind that expects certainties. This gap between expectation and reality is the source of nearly all negative emotional responses in trading. This core conflict is powerfully exacerbated by a psychological principle known as random reinforcement. In a controlled learning environment, consistent feedback is key. Good actions are rewarded, bad actions are punished. This is how we learn effectively. The market, however, provides feedback that is random and inconsistent, which is catastrophically damaging to the learning process. This manifests in two primary, destructive scenarios. First is the scenario of a bad process leading to a good outcome. Imagine you abandon your trading plan out of impatience. You chase a stock that is making a parabolic upward move, buying near the top in a clear act of FOMO. This is, by any objective measure, a poor trading decision. However, due to the market's randomness, a wave of late buyers comes in after you, pushing the price even higher, and you exit with a profit. Your brain does not register this as a lucky escape from a bad decision. Instead, it creates a powerful neural link. Chasing that stock worked. Therefore, chasing is a valid strategy. This random reward for a flawed process is profoundly dangerous. It reinforces bad habits and convinces you that undisciplined actions can be profitable, setting you up for inevitable future failure when the probabilities normalize. Second, and perhaps more psychologically damaging, is the scenario of a good process leading to a bad outcome. In this case, you do everything correctly. You wait patiently for your A+ setup. You enter the trade according to your plan. You place your stop-loss at a logical point to manage risk. You execute your system with perfect discipline. And yet, the trade results in a loss. The market simply moves against your position. While this is a normal and expected part of any valid trading strategy, your brain interprets it as a punishment for correct behavior. This severs the mental connection between discipline and success. It erodes your confidence in your own system. When you can be punished for doing the right thing, how can you be expected to continue doing the right thing on the next trade, and the one after that? This environment of uncertainty and random reinforcement gives rise to the four primary trading fears that Mark Douglas identifies. Let us examine each one diagnostically. Number 1. The fear of being wrong. This fear is rooted in the ego and our social conditioning. In most human endeavors, being wrong carries negative social and intellectual consequences. Therefore, we develop sophisticated mechanisms to protect our sense of being right. In trading, this manifests as an inability to accept a loss. A trade moving against you is perceived not as a statistical event, but as a personal invalidation of your analysis and intelligence. To avoid the emotional pain of admitting a mistake, you hold onto a losing position, hoping the market will reverse and prove you right. You might even average down, adding to a losing trade, a cardinal sin of risk management, all to avoid the psychological sting of accepting a small, predefined loss. This fear transforms a manageable, statistical loss into a financially and emotionally devastating one. Number 2. The fear of losing money. This is a primal fear, connected to our most basic survival instincts. The capital in your trading account is not an abstract score. It represents your time, your security, and your future goals. The act of putting that capital at risk triggers a genuine threat response. This fear is the primary cause of hesitation and indecision. You see a valid trade setup that meets all of your criteria, but you are frozen by the memory of past losses. The potential pain of losing money again outweighs the potential gain in your mind, and you fail to execute. This is known as analysis paralysis. The fear of loss also causes you to exit winning trades prematurely. As soon as a trade shows a small profit, the fear that it will disappear and turn into a loss becomes acute. You snatch the small gain to alleviate the anxiety, only to watch the trade continue to its full potential without you, thereby skewing your risk-to-reward ratio and crippling your long-term profitability. Number 3. The fear of leaving money on the table. This fear is a function of regret and hindsight bias. After you close a profitable trade, you continue to watch it. If it keeps moving in your favor, you begin to calculate the profits you missed out on. This feeling of missed opportunity can be just as painful as an actual loss. It makes you feel inadequate and foolish for following your plan. This fear creates a destructive behavioral pendulum. On your next trade, determined not to leave money on the table again, you ignore your profit targets. You become greedy, holding on for a home run. You ride the trade all the way up, and then, as the market inevitably corrects, you ride it all the way back down, allowing a significant winning trade to become a small win or even a loss. Your fear of missing out on imaginary future profits causes you to lose real, tangible profits. Number 4. The fear of missing out, FOMO. This is a powerful social psychological impulse. It is the anxiety that others are profiting from an opportunity that you are not a part of. This is most potent during strong, volatile market moves. You see a stock rising rapidly, social media is buzzing, and an intense emotional pressure builds to join in. This fear compels you to abandon your own well-researched trading plan in favor of chasing a moving ticker. It is an act of impulse, not analysis. The result is that you almost always enter a trade at the point of maximum financial risk, buying high after a move is already mature, often from the early, disciplined traders who are now taking their profits by selling to the FOMO-driven crowd. It is a psychologically driven mechanism that forces you to buy high and sell low. These 4 fears, being wrong, losing money, leaving money on the table, and missing out, are not isolated issues. They are symptoms of the same core problem. You are attempting to apply a certainty-based mindset to a probability-based environment. They feed off each other, creating a self-perpetuating cycle of emotional decision-making, which leads to poor results, which in turn reinforces the fear. This is the psychological wall that holds you back. It is not built by the market, it is built by your own mind's natural response to the market's environment. To move forward, you cannot change the market. You must, therefore, change your mind. This requires a conscious decision to uninstall this faulty, default programming and intentionally install a new mental operating system, one built specifically for navigating uncertainty. The foundation of this new operating system is a set of 5 fundamental truths. These truths, when fully internalized, will serve as your psychological anchor in the chaotic sea of the markets. We will now proceed to construct this new foundation, one truth at a time. Part 3. The 5 fundamental truths, the blueprint for a probabilistic mindset. Having diagnosed the core conflict between your mind and the market, we now arrive at the solution. The antidote to fear and emotional decision-making is not a more complex indicator or a holy grail strategy. The solution is a belief system. Mark Douglas posits that to trade effectively, you must consciously adopt a set of beliefs that are in perfect harmony with the realities of the market. He calls these the 5 fundamental truths. Our objective here is to do more than just list them. We will dissect each truth, explore its deepest implications, and understand how its adoption systematically dismantles the fears we have just identified. This is the most critical part of our session. Internalizing these 5 truths is the work that moves you from being a participant in the market to a professional who operates within it. Truth number 1. anything can happen. The first truth is the bedrock upon which all others are built. Anything can happen. On the surface, this statement appears simple, almost obvious. But to truly internalize it is a profound psychological shift. It does not mean that the probability of every outcome is equal. It does not mean that a stock is as likely to go to zero as it is to double in the next minute. It is not an invitation to chaos. It is a command to neutralize your expectations on every single trade. When you place a trade, your technical analysis may give you a logical reason to believe the market will move in a particular direction. You may have a confluence of 10 different indicators all pointing to a high probability setup. However, the moment you translate that high probability into a certainty, the moment you expect the market to do what your analysis suggests it should do, you have made a critical psychological error. You have opened the door to emotional pain. You know why? Because an expectation is a belief about a future event over which you have no control. When the market moves contrary to your expectation, your mind registers it as a personal failure. This is when the fear of being wrong kicks in, causing you to bend your rules or hold on to a loser. The professional trader, one who has fully integrated this first truth, understands that their analytical edge only places the odds in their favor. It does not dictate the outcome of any single event. They know that every single person participating in the market, from a high-frequency trading algorithm to a retail investor on their phone, has the potential to affect the price at any moment. A sudden news event, a large institutional order, or a cascade of stop losses can instantly invalidate even the most perfect analytical setup. Therefore, anything can happen is a tool. It is your primary defense against emotional shock. By genuinely accepting that the market can do literally anything at any moment, regardless of your analysis, you mentally prepare yourself for all outcomes. When a trade moves against you, it is no longer a surprise or a personal affront. It is simply one of the infinite possibilities that you already accepted could occur. You are not shocked. You are not betrayed. You simply observe the market's behavior and proceed to follow your predefined plan, which must include cutting your loss at a predetermined point. Consider the analogy of a professional meteorologist. They use sophisticated models to predict the weather. Based on their data, they might forecast a 90% chance of sunshine. However, they are never shocked or disappointed if a rogue cloud appears and creates a brief shower. They understand the atmosphere is a complex, dynamic system where unforeseen variables can always manifest. They accept that anything can happen, and their models are simply a guide to the most probable outcome, not a guarantee of it. The developing trader acts like someone who gets angry at the sky for raining when they were promised sunshine. The professional trader simply acknowledges the rain and uses their umbrella. Adopting this truth dismantles the fear of being wrong. If anything can happen, then you can never truly be wrong for a trade not working out, provided you followed your plan. The outcome was simply one of the possibilities within the market's random distribution. Your job is not to be right. Your job is to execute your strategy and manage your risk in an environment where anything can happen. This belief frees you from the emotional weight of needing to predict the future. It allows you to focus solely on what you can control, your own actions. Truth number 2, you don't need to know what is going to happen next to make money. This second truth flows directly from the first and strikes at the heart of why most people are drawn to trading in the first place. Most aspiring traders believe that success is a function of prediction. They spend years searching for an analytical method that will tell them, with a high degree of certainty, what the market will do next. This entire pursuit is a fallacy. The second truth states, you don't need to know what is going to happen next to make money. This is perhaps the most counterintuitive concept for the logical mind to grasp, yet it is the business model of every successful speculative enterprise in the world, from casinos to insurance companies. Consider the casino. Does the owner of a casino need to know the outcome of the next spin of the roulette wheel to be profitable? Absolutely not. If they did, it would be a game of prediction. Instead, the casino relies on something else entirely, an edge. In roulette, the presence of the 0 and 00 slots provides a small, statistical edge to the house on every single spin. The casino doesn't know if you will win or lose the next bet. They only know that over a large sample size of thousands of spins, their small edge will mathematically guarantee their profitability. Your trading strategy is your casino. Your edge is your equivalent of the 0 and 00. An edge is simply a set of market conditions or variables that indicate a higher probability of one thing happening over another. It could be a moving average crossover, a specific candlestick pattern at a key support level, or a complex quantitative signal. The nature of the edge is less important than the trader's understanding of its function. Your edge does not tell you what will happen next. It merely informs you that the odds are slightly in your favor on this particular trade. To be a profitable trader, your entire job is to do two things. Identify a trading edge with a positive expectancy over a large sample size. Execute that edge consistently and flawlessly, with proper risk management. That is it. The need to know what will happen next is a desire of the ego. The professional trader is not concerned with the outcome of any individual trade. They are concerned with the meticulous execution of their edge over a series of trades, their sample size. They think and act in probabilities, not predictions. This truth directly combats the fear of losing money and the resulting hesitation. When you believe you need to know what will happen next, every loss feels like a failure of prediction. But when you understand that your job is simply to execute your edge, a loss is recontextualized. It is no longer a failure, it is a statistically necessary and acceptable cost of doing business. It is one of the losing spins of the roulette wheel that you must endure to realize your overall profitability. Imagine you have a strategy that, over 100 trades, wins 60 times and loses 40 times. If you risk $100 on each trade and make $150 on each winner, the math is compelling. You will lose $4,000 on your losers, but you will make $9,000 on your winners, for a net profit of $5,000. For this to work, you absolutely must be willing and able to take all 40 of those losses without emotional disruption. If you hesitate and miss trades because you are afraid of the next loss, you disrupt the entire mathematical equation. You might miss a string of winners while trying to avoid a single loser. By relinquishing the need to know what happens next, you liberate yourself. You no longer need to search for a perfect system. You only need to find a system with a demonstrable edge and then focus all your mental energy on executing it with perfect discipline. Truth number 3. There is a random distribution between wins and losses for any given set of variables that define an edge. This third truth is a critical clarification of the second. Even when you have a proven edge, let's say one that wins 60% of the time over the long run, you have no way of knowing the sequence of those wins and losses. The truth is, there is a random distribution between wins and losses for any given set of variables that define an edge. This means that within your sample size of 100 trades, you could easily experience a sequence of 5, 7, or even 10 or more losses in a row. Conversely, you could experience a streak of 10 wins in a row. Both outcomes are statistically normal and should be expected. This is the concept that the human mind struggles with most intensely. We are pattern recognition machines. If we flip a coin and it lands on heads 5 times in a row, our intuition screams that the next flip is due to be tails. In reality, the probability of the next flip is still exactly 50-50, regardless of the previous outcomes. The coin has no memory. Similarly, the market has no memory of your last trade. Your edge is a statistical probability that exists in each moment independently. But our minds create powerful emotional links. If you take 3 losses in a row using your A+ setup, your confidence in that setup will be shattered. On the 4th setup, your mind, now conditioned by the recent pain, will tell you, this setup is no longer working. You will likely hesitate or skip the trade altogether. It is highly probable, given the random distribution, that this fourth trade could have been the start of a long winning streak, which you will miss because you were emotionally influenced by a statistically meaningless losing streak. This is why Mark Douglas states that one of the most difficult skills to master is to remain disciplined and focused through a losing streak. It requires you to override a powerful emotional instinct with a cold, hard, logical understanding of statistics. Adopting this truth is the ultimate defense against overconfidence after a winning streak and despair after a losing streak. It keeps you psychologically centered. After a series of wins, you do not feel invincible and start taking larger risks because you know a losing streak could be right around the corner. After a series of losses, you do not lose faith in your system because you know that this is a normal, expected part of your edge's random distribution. This belief forces you to treat every single trade as a unique event with an outcome independent of the last one. It allows you to execute your plan with the same objective mindset on your fifth consecutive loss as you would on your fifth consecutive win. It creates true emotional consistency. This is a level of mental mastery that very few achieve, but it is absolutely essential for long-term survival and success. You must learn to think like a statistician and decouple your emotional state from the outcome of your most recent trades. Truth number 4. An edge is nothing more than an indication of a higher probability of one thing happening over another. The fourth truth serves as a vital definition that clarifies what you, as a trader, are actually working with. It is a refinement of our earlier discussion. The truth is, an edge is nothing more than an indication of a higher probability of one thing happening over another. Let's break that down. Nothing more than. This phrase is crucial. It is designed to strip away all the emotional baggage and hope that traders typically attach to their strategies. Your edge is not a guarantee. It is not a promise of profit. It is not a crystal ball. It is simply a statistical indication. This definition forces you into a mindset of pure objectivity. When you see your setup appear in the market, your thought process should not be, "Great, this is a winning trade." Your thought process should be, "The market is currently displaying the set of variables that I have identified as having a positive probabilistic outcome over a large sample size. Therefore, I will execute my plan." It is a shift from emotional attachment to clinical execution. This directly combats the fear of leaving money on the table. When you view your edge as a winning signal, you become attached to maximizing that single trade. You get greedy, hold on too long, and violate your plan because you believe the signal promised you a huge gain. But when you view your edge as merely a probabilistic indication, your perspective changes. Your job is not to squeeze every last penny out of the signal. Your job is to execute your plan, including your predefined profit targets, every single time the signal appears. You are a data processor. The signal appears, you execute the plan. The outcome is irrelevant. What matters is the flawless execution over the next 100 occurrences. This allows you to take your profits at a logical point, as your plan dictates, without regret. If the market continues to run, it has no bearing on the quality of your decision. You followed the rules of your system. This concept is embodied in the term positive expectancy. Professional traders and gamblers do not think in terms of wins and losses, they think in terms of expectancy. Expectancy is a simple formula. Winning percentage multiplied by average win size minus losing percentage multiplied average loss size. If the result is a positive number, your system has a positive expectancy. This means that over time, your system will make money. Notice that the formula does not care about any single trade. It is a purely statistical model. Your edge is simply the data that proves your system has a positive expectancy. By internalizing this truth, you begin to see trading for what it is, a numbers game. You are not a hero fighting a dragon. You are a business owner managing probabilities. This depersonalizes the entire process. A loss is not a failure, it is a business expense. A win is not a stroke of genius, it is revenue. This detached, Business-like perspective is the hallmark of a professional trading mind. Your edge is your business model. Your job is to execute the model. Nothing more. Truth number 5. Every moment in the market is unique. The fifth and final truth is the psychological linchpin that holds the entire framework together. It is what allows you to execute your edge consistently over time, regardless of past results. The truth is, every moment in the market is unique. This means that the current, now, moment, the setup that is forming on your screen right now, is one of a kind. It has never happened before in the exact same way and will never happen again. While it may look visually similar to a previous setup, the underlying forces, the specific buyers and sellers, and their intentions are all completely different. The context is always unique. This concept is your primary weapon against the influence of past trades. Let's say on your last trade, you had a perfect A+ setup, you took the trade, and it immediately reversed and hit your stop loss. The experience was painful. Now, an hour later, you see another setup that looks identical. What is your first instinct? Your mind, through the power of association, immediately links the current setup with the pain of the previous one. The thought, "It's going to fail again," flashes in your consciousness. This is your brain trying to protect you from repeating a painful experience. This is the source of hesitation. But if you have truly internalized that every moment is unique, you can neutralize this association. You can say to yourself, yes, this setup looks similar to the last one that failed. But the outcome of the last trade has zero bearing on the outcome of this one, because this moment is unique. The participants are different. The context is different. All I know is that this setup matches the variables of my positive expectancy edge. Therefore, I must execute my plan. This truth gives you the psychological freedom to act in your own best interest in the present moment, without being held hostage by the ghosts of your past trades. It severs the emotional chain between yesterday's losses and today's opportunities. It also works in reverse. If you are on a winning streak of 5 trades, it prevents you from becoming euphoric and reckless on the 6th trade. The fact that the last 5 unique moments worked out in your favor has no statistical influence on this new, unique moment. It forces you to approach every trade with the exact same objective, rule-based discipline. Think of a professional baseball batter. He may have struck out his last 3 times at bat. When he steps up to the plate for the 4th time, if he is dwelling on his past failures, his confidence will be low, his muscles will be tense, and he is more likely to fail again. The elite batter, however, knows how to treat each at-bat as a unique event. The past is irrelevant. All that matters is this pitch right now. This is the mindset that the 5th truth cultivates. It is the ability to show up for every single trade, every single market moment, with a clean slate, free from the emotional baggage of the past and the unrealistic expectations for the future. You are present, focused, and ready to execute your plan, right here, right now. These 5 truths, working in concert, form a complete psychological operating system. They force you to accept risk, detach from outcomes, think in probabilities, and act consistently. They are the intellectual foundation for trading in the zone. But knowing them is not enough. You must now learn how to live them. Part 4. The practical application, forging the mindset. We have now systematically deconstructed the 5 fundamental truths. We have examined them intellectually, understanding their logic and their power to neutralize the fears that plague developing traders. However, knowledge alone is insufficient. The gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it can only be bridged through deliberate, consistent practice. The final and most critical phase of this masterclass is application. How do you take these 5 abstract truths and forge them into the core of your mental operating system? How do you transform them from intellectual concepts into deeply ingrained beliefs that guide your actions automatically, without hesitation or internal conflict? This process is akin to physical training. You cannot develop a strong physique by simply reading books about exercise. You must subject your muscles to resistance, consistently, over time. Similarly, to build a resilient trading mind, you must engage in specific mental exercises designed to strengthen your psychological muscles. Mark Douglas's ultimate goal for a trader is to achieve what he calls a carefree state of mind. It is essential to understand what carefree means in this context. It does not mean careless, reckless, or undisciplined. It is the opposite. It is a state of mind so secure in its own structure, so confident in its edge, and so accepting of the market's nature, that the outcome of any individual trade becomes emotionally irrelevant. It is the freedom from fear. It is the mental state where you can execute your plan flawlessly and without emotional disturbance, because you have done the work to eliminate the potential for psychological pain. A carefree trader is not pained by a loss, because they fully accept that losses are a normal and necessary cost of businesses as per truths number 2 and number 3. And by truth number 1, they are not surprised by an unexpected market move because they know that anything can happen. They are not tempted to deviate from their plan because they understand their edge is purely statistical and requires consistent application, truth number 4. And they are not haunted by past failures or euphoric from past successes because they know that every moment is unique, truth number 5. Achieving this state requires a structured training regimen. I will now provide you with 3 powerful, practical techniques you can begin implementing today to actively install the 5 truths into your trading mind. Technique number 1. The pre-flight checklist, stating your intentions. Before an airline pilot takes off, they run through a mandatory, physical checklist. This ensures that no critical step is forgotten due to complacency or distraction. As a trader, you must adopt a similar process for your mind. Before each trading session, before you even look at a single chart, you will perform a mental pre-flight checklist. This involves actively reading and reflecting upon the 5 fundamental truths. You can write them on a note card and keep it on your desk. The process is simple, but its effect is profound. Read each truth out loud, and then take a moment to consciously agree with it. You will say, 1. Anything can happen, and you will consciously accept that you are about to engage with an environment of infinite possibilities. You will say, 2. I don't need to know what is going to happen next to make money, and you will remind yourself that your job is not to predict, but to execute. You will say, 3. There is a random distribution between wins and losses, and you will mentally prepare yourself to accept a string of losses without losing confidence in your edge. You will say, 4. My edge is just a higher probability of one thing happening over another, and you will commit to treating your system as a statistical tool, not a crystal ball. You will say, 5. Every moment in the market is unique, and you will release the emotional baggage from your previous trading day. Performing this ritual every single day serves 2 purposes. First, it is an act of deliberate programming. Through repetition, you are actively carving these beliefs into your consciousness. Second, it sets your intention for the day. It puts you in a probabilistic mindset before you are exposed to the emotional pressures of the live market. You are putting on your psychological armor before you enter the battlefield. Technique number 2. The mental gym, a structured trading journal. Most traders know they should keep a journal, but they often focus only on the technical aspects. The entry price, the exit price, the profit or loss. A professional trading journal must be more than that. It must be your mental gym, the place where you track your psychological performance. Your journal should have, for every single trade, a section dedicated to your mental execution. In this section, you will answer a series of questions related directly to the 5 truths. Did I fully accept the risk before entering the trade, knowing that anything could happen? This relates to truth number 1. Did I enter the trade based on my predefined edge, without trying to predict the outcome? Truth number 2. If this was a losing trade, did I accept it as a normal part of my system's random distribution, or did I feel emotional pain? Truth number 3. Did I follow my plan for entries, exits, and stop losses precisely, treating my edge as a statistical model? Truth number 4. Was my decision to enter this trade influenced in any way by the outcome of my last trade? Truth number 5. You must answer these questions with brutal honesty. This process makes you an objective observer of your own behavior. It creates a feedback loop. At the end of each week, you will review your journal not just for your profit and loss, but for your mental patterns. You will see, in black and white, where your psychological execution is failing. Perhaps you notice that after 2 losses, you consistently skip the 3rd signal. This is a data point. It shows a weakness in your belief in truth number 3. Your journal transforms your psychological development from a vague goal into a measurable project. It is the single most effective tool for identifying the specific beliefs that you need to work on. Technique number 3, the sample size challenge. This is the most powerful exercise for viscerally experiencing a probabilistic mindset. It involves committing to a predefined sample size of trades. Here is the challenge. You will define your trading edge with ironclad, objective rules. Then, you will commit to taking the next 20 trades that fit your edge without exception. The key is that your risk must be predefined and identical for every trade. You must execute them no matter what. You cannot skip one because you don't feel good about it. You cannot add to one because you feel euphoric. The goal of this exercise is not to make money. The profit or loss over these 20 trades is completely irrelevant. The goal is to practice the skill of flawless execution and to experience what it feels like to operate in a probabilistic framework. During these 20 trades, you will likely experience a losing streak and a winning streak. You will feel the temptation to deviate from the plan. You will feel fear and greed. But because you have committed to the sample size, you will have a structural reason to override those feelings and follow your rules. By completing this challenge, you will have taught your mind, through direct experience, several key lessons. You will learn that you can have a losing trade, and nothing terrible happens. You will learn that you can have 5 losses in a row, and your system is not necessarily broken. You will learn what it feels like to operate without predicting, judging, or hesitating. You will, for the first time, have acted like a casino. This experience is transformative and builds a level of confidence that simple reading can never provide. Concluding section. We began this session by identifying an unseen wall, a psychological barrier built from a lifetime of certainty-based thinking. We diagnosed how this wall creates a cycle of fear and irrational error in the probabilistic world of the market. We then laid out the blueprint for a new mental structure, founded on Mark Douglas's 5 fundamental truths. These truths are a radical acceptance of the market's nature, that anything can happen, that we cannot predict the future, and that our success depends not on being right, but on the disciplined execution of a statistical edge over a large sample of trades. Finally, we have outlined a practical training regimen, a way to actively live these truths through daily intention setting, structured journaling, and the direct experience of the sample size challenge. Mark Douglas did not just write a book, he drew a map. It is a map that leads away from the emotional battlefield of hope and fear and towards the quiet confidence of the professional operator. The market will always be an ocean of uncertainty. Its nature will never change. But you can. By committing to this work, you no longer need to predict the waves. You simply learn how to build a better boat. The zone is not some mystical state that you stumble into by luck. It is the direct and inevitable result of aligning your mind with the fundamental truths of the market. It is the absence of fear. It is the freedom to execute. It is the result of dedicated, internal work. The masterclass you have just completed is only the first chapter in this curriculum. Our mission at the Trading Thesis is to systematically deconstruct every facet of professional trading psychology and market history, providing you with a complete and foundational structure for mastery. If you are committed to this path and found profound value in the work we did today, then I invite you to subscribe and join our community. Think of it not just as a subscription, but as your enrollment in a continuous course of study. This will ensure you are notified as we release each new lesson in your training. That work begins now. I will end with a question for you to reflect on, and I encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments below, as it is a crucial first step in self-awareness. Which of the 5 fundamental truths, upon honest reflection, presents the biggest challenge to your current way of thinking, and why?